my health. And so there's the overlap of the exercise of my right to property, so keep on donating even beyond that threshold, and the protection of health, say stop. From this moment on, you're putting in danger your own health. There's an overlapping of the scope of application of two different rights, which are in collision. Not necessarily two rights overlapping or in collision, but in this case, they are in collision. Because the application of one right would say stop, the application of the right would say keep on donating. The fundamental rights and the human rights in particular are inclusive, not exclusive. If I am the owner of something, I have the power of excludability. So a typical character of the right to property is giving one person, the owner, the power to tell any other member of the community, any other member of the society, every other living person on earth to stay out of my property, out of the property, to do not interfere in the use of the property. On the contrary, everybody can share our fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are meant to be inclusive. So the right to life as such is what does actually the right to life means in this perspective? That the life must be respected, not only my life, the life of everyone. Can we, on the contrary, define in full the right to property without referring to a specific object of attention? So if I'm saying that I am respecting your right to property, yes, we can add everyone else has property, and the property of everyone else must be respected. But of course, since we are dealing with rival resources, so things that can pertain only to one and not to another, the excludability in enjoying the right to property is exactly the opposite of the inclusion character of the enforceability of the application of the human rights. And the holder of a fundamental right cannot waive one of his fundamental rights. I cannot transfer, not transferable, first element, but I cannot even renounce. Can I renounce my right to life? It's not a silly question. Try to make a reflection over that. Can I renounce to my right to life? What might mean to renounce to right to life? Can you figure a situation where I am renouncing my right to life? Something, I mean, not something that we are doing every day, of course, but something that can happen. Committing suicide, for example. If you commit suicide, you could say, okay, I am renouncing my right to life. Can we really define, let's say, suicide as the possibility, because this is what we are talking about. We are talking about the legal regime over these rights. So can we say that the law permits people, allows people to renounce their right to life? Can you detect which other colliding human rights than the right to life is involved in the, can be invoked, let's say, by a person saying, I'm perfectly aware of the importance of life, but I am suffering too much. I am in pain. I want to stop keeping on surviving in this way. This is not living. This is surviving. This is against my idea of a good way of a good standard of living. It is against, one could say, human dignity. And this is an argument used many times. Say, okay, keeping alive a person with no possibility of getting back in health, not even understanding what's happening to his body. Maybe this is, yes, is against the right to life, but maybe this is against the human dignity. But let's take aside for a second. This is very burdensome. It's not what I pointed the finger. But in saying that you do not impede me to commit suicide, I'm perfectly aware what I'm doing. Do not save me. You don't have to protect me. Can remember protection, the idea of protection. The law is always concerned with the idea of protecting people which are in a suffering, a weak situation. Do not think that since I am inclined to commit suicide, I am out of my mind. I'm perfectly able to understand the consequences of my actions. And so I want to exercise my right to beep and commit suicide. What is beep? What kind of human right? Because we are talking about rights of that level. Self-determination. It's my body. I am the only one allowed to take decision over my body. And so there's a situation, actually, the collision. There are situations where people are desperate because they suffer the loss in their family. They are completely unable to understand the consequences of their action. They are in a desperate personal situation, and then they commit suicide. Then there are other situations of people having full control of their decision and deciding to stop their life deliberately. Let's say it's a free, really free decision. It is arguable. It is not easy to find out here a situation that in the first case the law should intervene. The law must protect people unable to understand the consequences of their actions. And so the desperate person trying to kill itself, if there are people looking at the scene, they are supposed to intervene. Particularly if there are public officials. But it is committing suicide a crime? You know that you go to jail both if you commit a crime and if you try to commit a crime. Of course, if killing yourself is a crime, if you succeed, there's no place for any jail because you're dead. But let's say that you are trying to kill yourself. And we know that if a policeman is looking at the scene, he has the duty to intervene. He has to do whatever he wants. He is in his power to prevent me from committing suicide. Does it mean that committing suicide is against the law? Ask yourself, is here the policeman intervening because he is taking, let's say, announcing the fact that maybe is going to be adopted a sanction against me, or for other reasons? Even if you just try to tell me your thoughts. I mean, there's not right or wrong answer here. What are your feelings? Do you think that here the most reasonable thing to say is that the committing suicide is since it is against